Now, that was a keynote presentation. Next up, we have a presentation titled How Leaders Approach Today's Hybrid Workforce. This session is brought to you by our gold sponsor, Dell Technologies. If you have any questions for our speaker, please drop them in the chat box or in the comment section, because this is a 30-minute session where the first 20 minutes will be a presentation and the last 10 minutes will be a Q&A session. So we'll be picking the questions from the comments and the chat box section. So feel free to type in. In this particular presentation, we will understand how the hybrid workforce policies, expectations, and the new way of working will be the new milestone on effective managers and virtual teams, which results in attracting and retaining talents. Our speaker currently supports Dell Malaysia's commercial business. He is responsible for driving growth and product for public and enterprise customers through workforce transformation. So ladies and gentlemen, let's all welcome Christopher Choong, Senior Product Manager of Dell Technologies.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. My name is Christopher and I'm with Dell Technologies. Now, I remember a few years ago when my colleagues or my friends tells me that they work from home. I was like, man, that's like my dream job. Are you hiring? Back then, I have this idea of how work from home looks like. That. But somehow, rewind back 12 months ago, all of us got our dream job, which is work from home. I got mine too. But that imagination doesn't look like that in reality. In reality, it looks more like this, where my kid keep on coming in, day and out, and try to get attention. Papa, can you do this? Papa, can you do that? And that picture shows you very clearly that she wants me to play, soft toy with her, unicorn. That has been a work from home life for everybody. So, work from home previously, when I imagined it was just a luxury, to today, everybody got it. So congratulations, you got your luxury dream job right now, working from home. But then again, rewind back just a few months ago, a lot of us are asking, is working from home continuing, or are we going back on site in our office? Or is it hybrid, where you have half of you will be in the office, half of you will be at home? Well, ladies and gentlemen, today we don't have to debate whether is it going to be, because it is going to be happening, or is actually happening right now. To tell the truth, half of my company is working from home, I'm still working from home, but some of my friends are working in the office already. For example, the operations. Take a look at this. This is how you can be, right? Whether you are at home or a hybrid. But let me share with you, we are right now focusing on very most important thing in our company. It's the safety and also the experience of how our employees work. So it's at home, back to site, or hybrid. So no matter where you are, the most important thing is we continue to be productive. Now there's a research saying that the modernization is no longer an option. It is something that you need to modernize your system, to modernize your company, so that you can continue to be flexible, resilient, and to continue to perform. Ladies and gentlemen, we have done all kinds of research, and we have asked a lot of experts on how can we continue to have, as leaders, to sustain hybrid working environment. It's not about a debate whether hybrid is staying or not staying, but it's how to make it sustainable. So we asked a lot of experts, and here we go. In Dell Technologies, for example, we have, since 2009, we have a program called Connected Workspace. And this has been rolled out for employees to choose, after talking to their managers, to have an option to work from home. Since 2009, we have been focusing on this. But because of the pandemic, it has exponential to a lot of people applying for that program. Till today, we have more than 60%, which is more than majority, has already option for that. For me, I have option for that. and that's why I no longer have a cubicle in my office. My cubicle is full-time at home on my dining table. So with that, we always focus on two things, which is productivity and safety of our employees. So now next thing is that how can we as leaders continue to have a sustainable hybrid working environment? And we asked a lot of experts, and here we go. There are three key imperatives to have a hybrid working environment, a very sustainable and successful one. So leaders, hear this out. The first thing is leadership. Leadership is like the brain of every company. You give the direction, you give the decision making, and of course you set forth on where to go and how to go. Next thing is structure. How does the structure comes in? Structures are all the process, the policies that comes in to enable this hybrid working environment so that people can continue to be at their optimum productivity. And next thing, last but not least, is of course culture. Culture is like the soul. It's like imagine if you are the brain, of the leaders is the brain, and the body is the structure, right? Then the soul is the one that brings, the culture is like the soul that brings the person alive. So with these three imperatives, we look into further on how to enable all this hybrid working environment. Let's take a look at the first one, leadership. Well, as leaders, we need to, of course, make decisions. Why? Because all our employees look up to the leaders on how can we continue to be productive, and we are working at home, working remote, no matter where you are, right? So as the leaders, you have to give a very clear direction. You have to give a very interesting way of coming out process. But one thing I can share with you is leaders, lead with empathy. Lead with intent. You got to have the empathy. No longer much about KPI, but it's about the empathy and intent. Traditionally, all of us are being trained to work from 9 to 6, 5 days a week, right? And the most important thing is we work on site, face to face. Let's call it FaceTime. Our FaceTime is so from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., right? You see all your employees sitting there with a busy table, with cluttered table, you know that, a very hardworking guy. You goes there, okay, very hardworking guy. So you know that they are working. But today with hybrid, leaders, you have to change your mindset. You got to adapt to the change, that you no longer see these things, cluttered tables and everything, because all your employees are at home. You can't see them. So also another thing is you have to be very empathy to understand that the employees who are working from home, the gray line between work and chores and their kids is now erased. It's like they're working halfway and the kid comes, Papa, can you help me with this homework? So you have to be quite, in an empathy way of thinking about all this. And also another thing is that for those of you who work from home and you do not have kids or siblings, guess what? Some of you may work very high productive when in the morning. Some of you may be very productive when you are at night. So it depends on where you are. So that's why productivity is also something that leaders need to understand when. So let's move on to the next thing, right? The first one, right? Think big. Now think big, but start small. In a way that as leaders, don't set a very far-sighted type of goals where you say, okay, let's go and hit the KPI by end of the year by doing this. Now in hybrid working environment, what we need to do is set small goals. Listen to your employees, understand your employees, what struggles are they facing, what challenges are they facing. Help them out. Be a leader that is empathy. By listening, you can find out more to help out with their resolution. And also, so a lot of solutions will come out. Another thing about this is that when you have this empathy, when you become a good listener, the employees will build trust with you. And that's how, with regular communication, instead of once a week, once a quarter review, you can have like a bi-weekly chat with your employee. How's things going on? Are you handling well with your kids? Are you handling well with this? And then find a right solutions for them. Now, you might be very interesting to find out that the husband or the father needs to pick up the kid every day at 12:30 from school. So don't set a meeting during 12 o'clock because that is going to give him a lot of pressure. So be very empathy in listening and finding out all this. Next thing is that focus on output, not the input. What this means is that it's no longer like how we traditionally work, where you ask them to work fast, extra hours, OT, and so on and so forth. And you know that from 9 to 6 they work, right? in hybrid, it's totally a different thing. Why? Because they could work from 6 a.m. onwards. You never know. And they could work at 9 p.m. You don't know because it's flexible. So focus on the output, not how they work or when they work. Focus on the productivity and the output. Discuss with them when they feel more comfortable giving you those solutions and those productive. Finally, learn from startup. Now, a lot of experts that we have spoken to mentioned that let's learn from startup. Now, when you start up a new company, for example, you are the boss, you start up a company. Let's say it's a cupcake shop, right? And guess what? You hire a few bakers, and then 3 or 4 of you, you all work very closely, and then you come up with a business, you come out and then you grow a business. A startup company, why does this happen is that the lesson learned here is that the boss and the team is narrower. That means you don't build a hierarchy that is tall. It's flatter hierarchy. Meaning you, as a leader, you have to go down to the ground and then work with your team. Now, I personally have this because my boss comes down to the ground and understands what I'm doing, what I'm suffering, what are my challenges. And she will then help me clear these challenges. Now, she can go to the extent of calling me on a one-on-one and say, Chris, I know you're going through some tough time right now. Let's pray together. Now, that is how a manager like her goes to that extent to pray together through a phone. And we did that. So that's how support needs to come in, and that's empathy. So startup, this is what we can learn from. Think big, and then focus on output, and learn from the startup. Let's go to imperative number 2, which is structure, which is the body. Now, when it comes to structure, is how the whole process works. Understand your employees. Meaning is that some employees will work far more productive when they're on site. Some employees will work far more productive when they're at home. All work and all job is different. Being an MC is different, right? Being an engineer is different. You can't have one structure for all. There's no one size fits all. So understand your employees, understand what are they doing, how the roles are being done, and HR, head of departments come together and come up with a structure that supports the hybrid working environment. This is very, very important to understand. Not just giving a device, here you go, a laptop, now go back and work. That is just the tip of the iceberg. Right now, we have to go further down to how to make it sustainable on hybrid. Next thing is give workers a platform to weigh in. I remember last year when most of us are locked down and we're all working from home, a lot of fresh grads are also still being hired. They started their first day at work at their house. They don't even have to go to office. The laptop is being sent to them in their house along with their badge and everything else that they need. They don't even seen their colleagues before. They don't even know what does colleague means because it's like they graduate from school, they have classmates, but when they come to office, they don't even have an office to go to. So you have to understand that these are the Gen Z who started working from home and until now they are still at home. So some of them may be right now going back to office for the first time, which is good for them, and they will start to have that experience FaceTime and experience real life of working. So some of you are right now nodding your head, yeah, I just changed job last year, and yes, I have not gone to my office yet. So you know what I'm talking about, those of you. So what happened is that head of department, HR, needs to bring these people in to understand and get new ideas on how to work from home. At the same time, those who are from the earlier generation who works from home, I know you suffered a bit by how to join Zoom, how to join Microsoft Teams, which button to click, how to change my virtual background, and how to do a lot of things. Yeah, all of us have different learning curve, and we need to learn together. So a structure needs to come out to help both generations, the young and the elders, on how we can actually do this hybrid working environment together. Next is, of course, for those of you who have hybrid working environment, you no longer need to spend on certain things. For example, your real estate. Some of you may have amenities, like for example, car allowance, travel allowance, those you no longer pay. I would say that this is something that you can rechannel the budget to do something else to enable and to sustain this hybrid working. For example, you can subsidize on the broadband. You can also increase, for example, chiropractor, because last time you only can claim sickness from clinics and panels, but right now you're sitting in your home chair instead of office chair. Your home chairs are like your dining tables, dining chair where you can't sit for long. So once you sit more than 9 hours, you have back aches, and you definitely need different type of chiropractor, different type of service like chiro to reset your bones and things like that. So come out a new structure for CMB so that you can support all these people who are working from home. And of course, there are a lot of other things. Well-being that comes in. We may have pets, grooming pets can claim things. So these are things that you can consider, all right, and make sure that you channel the budget to support this hybrid working environment. So if you have any other questions or any question at all, feel free to put into a Q&A, where later I will take up the questions and we will discuss more later on, okay? Finally, let's come to imperative number 3, culture. Now, if leadership is the brain, structure is the body, culture is the soul. So, a human without soul is basically just a zombie. A company without soul or culture is also like an empty shell. So what do you have here? The first thing is make learning and engagement one. All leaders need to be trained on how to become a remote leader, because all of us are being trained to become on-site leaders. But then again, don't just throw another calendar invite to the leaders to attend another training. To them, it's just like, man, another Zoom call or another Teams call? Yeah, don't do that. Come up with an interesting way or creative way of sharing with them the importance of this type of trainings. How managers continue to learn so that they can become a better leader for hybrid, to support the hybrid as well. So understand from the young generation and also the elders, come up with structure of a training where you can actually bring them out to a certain place where you can have a more productive training, a creative training. I believe right now all of us are open up. Most of the hotels are also open up already, but with SOP and with limited number of packs, you can always organize trainings offsite and things like that to support all this on how to manage offsite people and hybrid. So a manager may have half of the team in the office and half is still in the house, right? Now what I'm trying to say is that culture is not just about breaking your team into team A and team B, and then team A go to work, team B stay at home. Next week, team A go to work, team A stay at home. It's not about just creating this. It's more to creating a structure and a culture where people support each other. Next thing is leveling the playing field. What does this mean? Now, since just now I mentioned about team A and team B, everybody will just say that I prefer to be in the office so that my boss can see me with my cluttered table, so that I look busy, I look more hardworking. Whereas if I'm at home, nobody sees me. My boss don't know whether I'm working or not. And then when it comes to promotion, of course the one in the office will get a higher promotion, right? And then I'm at home, nobody see me. Okay, leaders, you have to change this. This mindset needs to put it at the side. You have to come up with a new way of structuring of how to give KPIs and how to do performance review with your employees. New ways of reviewing their productivity and also their performance needs to come in place so that you can understand some people working from home may be more productive than working in the office. Remember this. So come up with this structure so that it can help you out as well. And last but not least, plan a budget for effective team. So when it comes to this, it's like create opportunities for the Gen Z and also the earlier generation, the X, the baby boomers, or even the Gen Y, to work together to come up with a process where you create a culture in the intention of having a good empathy and intent for the whole entire company. At the end of the day, is for everybody to be optimizing their productivity, optimizing their results so that the company continue to grow. Last time, I would say 12 months ago, all of us were just focusing on business continuity. That means we just want to do everything just to continue with the business. And all of us just focus on getting the job done. But today, we are more stable now, and we have entered into the era of hybrid. Things are moving away from, we're no longer pivoting on just getting business continuity, but we're now going back to how to grow our business like how we used to grow the business when we were on site. So what it means is that right now, everybody is focusing on culture. That is why these two words become very strongly used, mental health. Everybody is talking about mental health today, right? People are getting more awareness about mental health. People have more awareness about their well-being. Are they well taken care of, and so on and so forth. So the culture needs to come in place where all of us needs to come up with a budget where we can actually support all this well-being and support each other in terms of body and soul and the brain. So with this, leadership, structure, and culture is what we and the experts have mentioned and come up with a white paper about this as well on how to support hybrid workforce environment. So thank you very much for your time in this very quick overview insights of how to support hybrid. So please scan this code, and there's a survey, a very simple few question survey. Fill it in, and then you stand a chance to win a 20 ringgit Grab voucher from us on Dell Technologies, and do enjoy the voucher. I'll be going down to the next screen to look at all the questions, and we shall take a very quick break while I go through the questions, and we'll be back with Gajan. Thank you very much. I'll see you back.
Wow, ladies and gentlemen, what a presentation. How about let's give Christopher another round of applause. Let me see the W's in the chat box. I loved it, Christopher, that you're immediately presenting on hybrid, because to be honest, there are a lot of people in the corporate world out there who are very polarizing. Yeah. Some of them, they want to do everything virtually. Some of them, they're the old school type. No, I want to do everything face to face.
Yes.
So my question to you is, how do you tackle these people who are like very polarizing and not balanced thinkers?
Well, it all depends, right? Because some organizations are looking into, hey, for the past 12 months we have been working all from home, and to all these bosses who used to have a very traditional way of saying, I must see you in order to confirm that you're working.
Yeah.
Those bosses realize that, hey, my job still runs, my business still runs, but none of that is in the office. And to these people, these leaders, they say, I save a lot of money. So they say, less option for all virtual. But of course, it all depends as well, because if you're running a factory, you can't run a factory and a machine from virtual. I mean, we have not reached to that technology, right?
Yeah.
So you still need people to go there, turn on the gears, turn on the buttons, press button. So that's why all these leaders are already started to see that hybrid is the way. That means those who needs to be manning the machine needs to go back, Those like finance and all those, maybe one goes back once or twice a month just to sign check and prepare checks.
Yeah.
And other than that, stay at home. So I believe all leaders today are already looking into this, and they also aware that some jobs can be done virtually. Yeah, so that's where hybrid is here to stay.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, in fact, I actually echo what Christopher has just said. In fact, like during the pandemic, I was asking myself the same question, what's next for the future? And I think it was hybrid because if you think about it, if you stay at home, yes, you what's that, pandemic or not, it doesn't disrupt you, but you lose that social skills of meeting people, and that is a soft skill that you need to have in the corporate world. And if you do everything on site, then, if another pandemic happens, which will happen, but we don't know when, if you look at history, and then you don't know how to work from home. So I guess hybrid is like the nice, balanced way to actually move forward.
Correct.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's have a look at some of the questions that we have here. All right, the first one we have is from Adam. With lesser face time, leaders may feel the need to micromanage. How does this risk the culture of distrust? What can leaders do to build trust in a hybrid work environment?
Well, to be honest, a lot of my colleagues and friends, colleagues means those who are in my office, and friends who are not from my office, were sharing with me on Facebook and WhatsApp saying, oh, my boss, I've been reporting to him for the past 5 to 10 years, 9 a.m. never text me. But during the pandemic, every day 9 a.m. text me. I say, what do you text? He said, good morning, that's all, 2 words. I say, what do you reply? I reply, good morning, oh. Actually, that is not a very honest good morning.
Yeah.
That is just to see whether are you awake and are you at work.
Correct, yeah.
So what happened is that leaders felt that, I don't see you in the office. Like last time I see you in the office, I say, morning, then you sit there, the boss feels safe that you're working.
Yeah.
But because we are all locked at home last time, locked down, so bosses tend to feel like, are you at work? Are you started working? So this drives them to do that, text you good morning.
Yeah.
Another thing is, they started to become policemen. Bosses become policemen in the way that they start looking at your Microsoft Teams, you have these traffic lights.
Yeah.
Okay, when he sees that you're green, oh good, gadget is working.
Yeah.
You're online. Right?
Yeah.
When he sees red, good, you're busy. But he sees yellow, he take a second look. Because in Microsoft Teams, it says away, right?
Correct, yeah.
But away for how long?
Correct, yes.
It has a how long there. So he said away 5 minutes, maybe go for toilet breaks, okay. Then he check again, away for half an hour. What does he do? Text you. Hey, are you there? So this has become suddenly turned into an indirect micromanaging. Without realizing, the bosses meant good. But to the employees, it became pressure, it became a bad hit in a way that is micromanaging.
Yeah.
So a lack of face time does lead into micromanaging. So what you need to do to moving forward in the hybrid is to build trust. Like I mentioned just now, it's no longer where or when you work. It's at the end of the day, your productivity output. So long that I can, let's say I'm your superior, say, hey, Jane, how's everything, So the deadline of this is like, by this Friday at 6 o'clock, can you make it? If you say, no, boss, 6 o'clock I need to pick up my kid from the hockey practice. Can I send to you at 8 o'clock? Okay, fine. So it's more bargaining now. It's
Correct.
more to, at the end of the day, it's bargaining, trust, and all the small talks.
Yeah.
So just like you mentioned about social.
Yeah.
Yes, hybrid may reduce social face-to-face, but it does increase social through virtual
Correct.
and talk and verbal.
Yeah.
So there's pros and cons to this. So for those leaders who are listening right now, if let's say you have team members, try to have small talks with your team once a week, once every 2 weeks, and understand what are challenges and see how you can build trust. Be empathy and be intent to ensure productivity is there, not to just make sure that you work.
Yeah, I definitely agree, because I think leaders now, they're going to be human and not be a robot, because at the end of the day, people connect to people. Because last time I only worked for one company, and the reason why I stayed is because my bosses were humans. They weren't like, if you get what I mean, some people, they write scripts like the good morning. Right? Sometimes, at the pantry, they say, how are you? For the sake of just asking, how are you?
Yeah.
So it's definitely good, and I think this is an area to look into, because to be honest, doing a lot of virtual events also, I see Some people, they just do for the sake of doing, okay, company has to do, engagement session. But some people are doing it because, they really want to engage their team to make sure that the bond is closer. So, yeah, definitely makes sense. Thanks a lot, Christopher, for that.
And to summarize what you just mentioned, I always tell my leaders, I always tell my friends and my colleagues, to be a leader, learn how to speak not from the brain, but from your heart. Because if every words come from your heart, the listener will feel it.
Yeah.
That's how empathy comes in.
Correct.
And that's what you mentioned. No longer script. It's all from your heart.
Yeah, definitely correct. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a look at the second question. With remote or hybrid, employees face all kinds of challenges juggling between chores, kids, and work expectations. How can leaders help in managing this?
Well, I honestly have a 9-year-old kid. As I show you my pictures now, right?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, she will just come to me with storybooks. She will come with me with all the soft toy, asking me to play Barbie dolls and stuff like that, right? With her. And I'm still having my conference call, right? So the good thing about it is that she sees me more.
Correct. Yeah.
That's the good thing about it. So be appreciative that you spend more time with your kids and your family right now. Of course, it become a gray line right now because there's no longer home and professional. So we as parents have to be very empathy with our kids.
Yeah.
And as leaders, you can also be very empathy that your team member have a family.
Yeah.
Right?
Correct.
So our colleague used to be you and me, colleagues.
Yeah.
But today, with hybrid, the colleagues are the wife, the kids, the mother-in-law, the father-in-law. Those are the colleagues.
True. Yeah.
Right? So sometimes you may be having a conference call halfway and the father-in-law walk past, right? So it becomes new colleagues.
Yeah.
So it is okay for those of you who work from home, and it is okay if your kid, while you're having conference call, your kid comes by and say, "Papa, I'm hungry." It's okay. Because they are your colleagues now.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is that don't get tense up saying shh, because when you do that, your kid who doesn't understand will feel that they get rejected.
Correct.
And psychologically, they will be impacted as well.
True. Yeah.
So what I normally do is when my daughter comes and sees me and I'm on conference call, she will still come and stand beside me.
Yeah.
And I don't shoo her away.
Correct. Yeah.
And all my colleagues and my boss say, "Oh, is that your daughter?" I say, "Yeah, that's my daughter." So it's also good in a way that suddenly you release the tension in the meeting for a while.
Correct. Yeah.
And they will say, "Hey, it looks like you." "Yeah, it looks like me. It's my daughter, hello." So sometimes that's how it works. And the pro of this is that I do product demo every day to all my customers. I open up laptops and stuff like that. You know what? My daughter is actually listening to all my presentation. Today she can present.
Yeah.
There was one day after my presentation, and she said that, "Papa, you forgot 2 points." I was like, "Wow, 2 points. You forgot to talk about the battery lifespan, and you forgot to talk about the LED that auto lights up." I was like, wow.
Oh, she can be a career counselor.
Yeah, she actually knows how to open up a laptop now by looking at me in this whole year. So that's the pro of it. So guys, of course everything has a pro and con, just like a coin has two sides.
Yeah.
Focus on the pros and you feel better. So to answer this question, I think as leaders, be very empathy, and as people who work at home, be very empathy with yourself as well. Don't just be empathy with others, but be empathy to yourself. You all start from us.
Wow, ladies and gentlemen, I think that was a really solid answer. Like to summarize, I think you mentioned appreciative. Like I think since the pandemic, more people have practiced gratitude. You know, like yeah, your family members, they may be interacting your meeting, but hey, you have a family at home, you know, and you have a house. So that's one.
You're not working in the library, okay? You're working at home, okay?
Yeah, exactly. And I think you brought up a very good point, because I've yet to hear any corporate people say that when your kid is there, you know, just let them be there. Because that's what humans do, right? If you say shoo, then you're being a robot. So who do you want to be? You want to be the human or you want to be the robot? So yeah, that's a very good point. Thanks a lot, Christopher.
You're welcome.
And let's have a look at the third question. How should the leaders be able to share company culture to new staff who is now working from home? Culture are pretty people and on-site. This is by Pek Hoon Bay.
Oh, thank you for the question, I would say. And it goes back to how you want to build the culture, of how you want to build the whole entire story of the soul of a company, right? So over here it says that culture are pretty much of people and on-site. Culture is very much about people, I agree. On-site, I would say it depends on how you define it.
Yeah.
right? So you can still send, like for example, team building used to be on site where you go to hotel or go to the beach and then you play some telematch and things like that.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
But today team building is very different. I can send you a fruit basket and all of us have a call and then all of us eat fruits together.
Yeah.
So it depends on how you define culture, how you define on-site and off-site. The most important thing is that you have a good time and you listen with empathy, and then you build a culture of a strong culture where everybody focuses on productivity and empathy, I would say. Right? So it all depends on the leader's mindset change, and then you bring down. If the leaders doesn't change, the employees don't change, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the reasons I think why we see on-site here is because on-site means tangible, right? But when we see people, actually that's where the true culture is, and it's intangible. So it's hard for people to extract, but that's where the culture is. By just talking to an employee of a company, you can more or less see what kind of leadership the company has. Correct. So yeah, at the end of the day, virtual or on-site, at the end of the day, it lies within the people, very much like what you said.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we still have a little bit more time, so we're going to have one more last question. All right, final question. How do you build a team? How do you pronounce this? Camaraderie. Okay. Camaraderie. I apologize. I've been emceeing since morning. Since we can hardly meet our team members, since everyone is working from home now, Yi.
All right. Thank you very much, Yi, for that question. Camaraderie is all about having fun, right? So earlier I mentioned about we don't have to send expensive gifts to our friends.
Yeah.
Right. Like imagine later, give me an address. I'll just send you a cup of Starbucks. And then let's have a call where all the team members dial in at 2:00, and we don't talk about work. We just talk about life. We just talk about what have you been achieving. Did you gain weight? Like my friends love to cook. Suddenly he found that he is a good cook.
Yeah.
Learning how to grill salmon from YouTube and things like that from during the lockdown.
Yeah.
So you might find your hidden talents. So share that in the call. Share that in the call. People have a good laugh. People understand. Like what you say, we all talk as human now.
Yeah, correct.
So even though it's virtual, but we can still feel each other from the sharing. And of course, camaraderie is all about having fun. So long you don't talk about work, you talk about a bit of personal things, that you really build the bonding. And once you build the bonding, I would say you become closer. Because honestly speaking, when you go for the previous traditional way of team building, you just go to the hotel, you eat, you group, you play telematches, you gain scores, the winner take away the prize, and all of us leave.
Yeah.
We don't really sit down and talk about you cook or I cook, right?
That's true, yeah.
So take a look at that. I feel that right now with virtual team building, we get closer. That's what I felt. And when we meet face to face, we felt that we are even bonding better. So leaders needs to be very creative. You don't have to send expensive things over.
Yeah.
Send a basket with some vegetables. The other day I received a basket with vegetables, carrot, tomatoes, everything. And with a personal note, very important. It was nice. A personal note saying, Chris, thank you so much for doing this, da 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 da. It was a personal note. And I called my other colleagues, do you receive? They said, yeah, I received too. And it's a personal note. My note and his note is different.
Okay.
So that means the boss took time to write notes.
Correct.
Wow. That is, to me, that values more than taking me to a 5-star hotel for a dinner, seriously.
Correct, because it's very authentic. That's
and
good to know.
I know that my boss cares. So that's how leaders needs. I felt good, you feel good after listening as well.
Yeah.
That is what we call camaraderie.
Yeah, and to wrap this up, would you also say that by actually engaging with your team members and all that, it also help to reduce the turnover rate employee because people are more connected, and I read somewhere that one of the reasons why people leave companies is also the boss. And that's true because people get connected to people. So when the bosses are nice, they know your hobbies, they care for you and all that. It also improves the company retention rate.
Correct. And not only improves the retention rate because they like to share on their Facebook on all these good stories, they actually attract more talent pool into the company as well.
That's true. Yeah.
Totally agree. Yes, you will increase retention rate and stuff like that, and also attract more people. So like today, my sharing, I believe a lot of people are like, wow, Chris, what company is that? Okay, I feel I want to join you as well. So that's what sharing is all about. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok.
Yeah.
Of course, you don't see me putting a video with my fruit basket and dance on TikTok, right? So,
Yeah.
but I do share on my Facebook and Insta. Yeah. So these are the things that people do. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Christopher. And ladies and gentlemen, thanks a lot for all of you all who have typed all your questions. Unfortunately, we have actually at the end of the session, so we won't be taking any more questions. There you can see that I want to work Dell under your boss. There you go. I want him to be my leader boss. There you see, what he just said is now, this is the result exactly. This is echoing whatever you just said, only in a different form.
Yeah.
So ladies and gentlemen, hey, how about let's give Christopher a huge round of applause. Let me see some W's in the chat box. That's the new virtual clap. So W is something I learned last year as well.
Where do you learn the W from?
This is actually from I think from an Australian stand-up comedian, because we were trying to do virtual stand-up comedy, and they said, how do we get them to round of applause? Then he said, oh, W's look like that. So, and also I learned another thing. When you type W's, when you type in the keyboard, you're investing more energy compared to just spamming the emoji.
I see.
So you get more people to type in the chat box, more interactive.
Just like that.
Yeah, W's, yeah.
Alright, that's so cool.
And it looks nice, because in sports, W's means win. So, say a lot of win, very ong. Yeah.
That's good, man. Thank you so much.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of our session. Once again, thank you so much, Christopher, and thank
welcome.
you to all of you all.